Hey guys, it's Jen, and I am back with another layout using my Felicity Jane kits. I'm using the November Savannah kit this time, and I'm using this photo that I took, and this is a photo of some pencils that my daughter made out of toothpicks. So these are little toothpicks that she colored with markers, and I just thought it was so creative and cute, and I took this little picture. She made the little pockets out of some scrapbook paper and stapled them, and it's just the cutest thing ever. So there's colored pencils and regular pencils, and the colors of this kit really play nicely with this photo, and so I wanted to use it. So I am going to be using probably these three lighter papers. I'm going to have a really light, airy feel to this layout. And this paper in particular that has all of the different colors in it goes really well with the photo, I think. I'm going to be using those. And then I'm also thinking about using this little card that says hello just right next to it. And so we'll see how that goes. I've also pulled a bunch of the cut aparts and some of the confetti and flare just set aside in here, the ones that I think will work. And then I'm planning on using some of the stickers and the stamps. And then this is a stencil from a previous kit, but I thought that the lines would look nice, and it kind of is kind of school feeling with this. And I might pull out, there's a stamp set from a previous kit that has a pencil on it, and so I might pull out that as well. We will see, but I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. Just wanted to give you a heads up on what I'm using. So I'm going to start by cutting apart that sheet so I can get the little hello card out. And in the beginning I said I wanted this to feel light and airy, and it kind of does, but it ends up a little heavier than I thought it would, which is fine. I also am going to use this card that says love this all over it. And I'm layering those up in such a way that you can see there's one phrase, love this, that is in pink, and I want to be able to see that, even though in the end I accidentally cover it up. I didn't even notice. That's okay. So I'm just using some of that paper above and below the photo. What I'm going to do here is just kind of create a big cluster of random bits of paper all around the photo. So I'm just cutting pieces. I'm not worrying about what size they are. I'm just randomly cutting them to kind of place around the photo. And I'm just going to create a loose cluster like I just shuffled these papers here. That green card I'm going to cut in half so I can use it on both sides of the layout. Because all of the other papers are really light feeling, the hello is pretty heavy because the color it's a full color, and same with the green, it feels that way. So I cut that card in half so I could get another little bit of weight on the other side, if that makes sense. I thought I would use these puffy stickers that say love this, and I really love them, but I decide not to. It was competing with the word hello, and I kind of want to use that in my title. So I'm going to go and find something to create my title with, and I'm just pulling, this is a Tombow Fude pen, brush pen that's the soft tip, and I'm just doing a little bit of brush script for the word pencils and trying it out on some white cardstock before I commit to it. And I'm just going to go for it. I have the extra patterned paper for this kit, and so I know I have another card that says hello on it. So I'm just going to go for it. Sorry, you can see my head. And I'm just going to write hello pencils. And then I thought it needed a little something above the word hello to balance out the bottom. And so I'm going to write why hello pencils. And that's my title. A little strange. There's still a little bit of space at the top that's feels kind of empty on that card, and I'll take care of that in a little bit here. I'm pulling out the stamps to see if there's anything that I want to use from the stamp set, and there is, but I'm going to go ahead and put down my layers first. I always get to this point where if I don't adhere everything, it's just going to be a nightmare later. So I'm just going to do it now, and I'm just kind of holding everything in place while I put down a little bit of the adhesive so that things don't move around too much. And now I will also I'm adhering the photo and that card at the same time because I want them to overlap in a certain way. And then I will
I'm not going to adhere it to the background because I know I want to do some other things. So I'm just going to let that cluster be adhered together and float for a minute while I decide what else I want to do. Here's where I'm taking and figuring out what I want to do with that empty space at the top of that yellow card. And I'm just going to put that little banner that's from the cut apart sheet, and I'm going to stamp the word noted on it. And I'll staple that to the top of the card. And I just used some black archival ink from Close to My Heart, which I don't think they sell anymore, which makes me sad because I love that ink, but I'll find a new one, I'm sure. So just using my tiny attacher to staple that down. And then I'm going to use these stickers that came in the kit. They're gold. And there's a bunch of really awesome phrases for this particular layout. So hello, beautiful, because I thought those pencils looked pretty freaking awesome to me. And so I wanted to just make sure that was known. So I put be creative, hello, beautiful, good job, fab, and yes. My daughter really is super creative, and she makes little things like this all the time, which I think is really awesome. These in particular were one of my favorite things she's ever made. I thought they were just so cute. You can't tell, but they are just tiny. They're half a toothpick each one. So it's really cool. So I want to do some kind of smushing on the background. So I'm just taking 2 distress inks. I thought that the mustard seed would be a little too bright, so I put a little bit of scattered straw in there as well. And I'm just smushing that all over the background. I really love the way distress inks smush compared to like spray inks and mists and things like that. I think that the distress inks really smush well. That is a technical term. So I really love the way that looks. And then when I place the layers on top, it looks even cooler. So on top of that smushing, I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling with some modeling paste and that line stencil. And I just love this thin line stencil. It's really awesome. And I'm just going to just put a few random bits in 3 areas on the layout. And I'm trying to get it where it will peek out from the layers. And I just like the texture that brings. It's just really pretty. You'll see in the close-up photos how cool it looks up close. And I'm just going to make sure I clean off my tools because I don't want that. Modeling paste dries really stiff, and so I don't want it to dry on my stencil. I already let some dry on that spatula, you can see. So now I'm thinking that I probably want to mat this onto another piece of paper. But before I do that, I'm going to put my layers down and see how the lines look. And I realized that I wanted some poking out at the top left and I didn't go quite high enough. So I'm just going to put a few more, and then I'll re-clean my stencil and my, I keep calling it a spatula. I don't know. You guys, I always forget this word. If you guys watch my videos, you know I always forget the word for this. There's a different word than spatula. But the word escapes me always. So I'm just going to see if I like this better on that cardstock rather than the pattern paper. And I think I do. It's kind of hard to tell because my mat is basically the same color, but it looks really good in real life. And you'll see in the close-up photos. So I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch off each side of my layout. Of course, you could just cut a 1/2 inch off 2 sides, but I wanted to center all of the work that I had already done, so I just cut a 1/4 inch off each side. And now you can see that those lines are poking out at the top left of my layered cluster there. I really like the way this is looking so far. I kind of wish I would have stopped here, but I go and add some more stuff because that's how I do. So there was a bunch of confetti that came in this kit, and it is like tissue paper. And so I'm going to use the gold tissue paper confetti circles to just kind of create a line going from top to bottom. And that's something I do quite often, is do kind of some linear embellishment, and I really like it. I'm trying to think of another way that I can add in a pop of that kind of bright reddish pink that's in the noted tab on top of the hello little card there. So I pulled a little label and I'm going to put it to the left of the photo. And then there was this little banner flag that I'm going to put a cluster of 3 little banner flags at the bottom of the cluster of different papers and stuff. And I only had 2 in the cut apart sheet besides a yellow one, and I thought there was too much yellow, so I didn't want to use the yellow. Even though I contemplated it, you can see me doing that here. It was just too much yellow. So I'm going to dig through some of my old Felicity Jane embellishments and see what I can find. I just have all of my old Felicity Jane kits in one iris container, and you can see I'm just digging through all of the past cut apart sheets, and I have tons of leftovers. So it was quite easy for me to find something that would work, and I end up pulling a light pink colored little flag, because if you can see those little hearts resting on top of the word hello right now, those are kind of a lighter pink, so I wanted to go with that. So there it is. I've pulled it out, but I'm still searching for, just to make sure that's the one that I want. And I also find these enamel dots. They are from the Create Paper Wonder collection, that they came in a previous kit as well, and they kind of match the colors here, so I just pulled them out in case I want to use them. I often do that if there's something a little extra I'm looking for that's not in the current kit. I'll go to past kits and look to see what I can find. So here I just cut that little banner down, and I'm going to adhere the 3 together and kind of layer them underneath those papers. And I'm just going to fiddle with the placement a little bit. I thought I wanted them to kind of be skewed, but I'm going to have them all kind of going straight down. And I like that. And now I'm going to place those hearts, and that's where I cover up the love this that I worked so hard to make sure showed before, and that's okay. So now I'm just going to adhere this to the background before I get my layers stuck down, and I'm just using some score tape. This is 1/2 inch. It's nice and fat, and I like to use score tape when I'm putting down something that's kind of warped from mixed media, because it's really strong. So when I lay this down, the layout is pretty flat. So now I can just lay that cluster back on, and I really like the way it's looking right here. And I kind of wish I would have stopped, but I put these gold tissue paper pieces on, and I still like it. I like the way it looks. And in real life, it doesn't look, I think on camera and in the photos, it looks really heavy, because you know gold has that shine when you hold it at a certain angle, and in other angles it just looks like black or dark brown, and that's kind of what it's looking like right here. But in real life, it feels a lot brighter and you know, shiny. It's less heavy than what it looks like here, if that makes sense. Something just fell in my craft room. I don't know if you heard that. Anyway, I'm just gonna adhere these down with some this to that dot adhesive. That's what I use for almost everything. And because the gold tissue paper has kind of a finish on it, it's not as see-through, and so you can't see the adhesive at all. So I just kind of placed them a little bit randomly, overlapping some of them, and I'm going to use some Heidi Swap Patina Color Shine, and I love this color. It's just really pretty. And I pulled out I'm going to adhere those little labels to the left of the photo. And then I thought I was going to use that little flare, but I decided not to. And I'm going to see if there's anything else I want to stamp. And I decided to use the little X's kind of so it looks like I stitched on some areas of the layout. So I'm just overlapping it over 2 layers of paper in some places. And you can see this better in the close-up photos, how it looks, but it kind of looks cool. And so I did that in a few areas. And then I'm also going to, I thought I would stamp on some of those labels, but I decided not to. I'm going to do my journaling here in just a second. That's where I was deciding whether or not I was going to use that flare, but I decided against it. Just kind of playing around with a few different elements. And then this is where I decide to use that little label for my journaling. And I'm kind of tucking it so that 2 of the little gold confetti pieces overlap it, so it looks like it belongs there. And I'm just writing really tiny. I don't have a ton to say, but I'm writing really small so I can fit it all on that one label. And I'm just using my favorite black Muji pen. And I always link to any available products in the description below my video, as well as over on my blog. So be sure to check that out if you have any questions about what I used. And after that, I'm going to stamp the date at the top with my Chamel roller date stamp. And then I'm going to sprinkle a couple of those gold adhesive backed sequins in with my gold little confetti pieces. And that is going to finish off this layout. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment below, and you can head over to my blog for the still photos, and I'll have more information, as well as I mentioned before, I'll have links to all of the different products that I used. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. We'll talk to you very soon, and be sure to check out felicityjane.com for more about those kits.